So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Seventh Victim. This is going to be another Val Lewton production, directed by Mark Robson in his debut film. The Seventh Victim is a 1943 U.S. horror film noir. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I love this flick. Directed by Mark Robson, starring Tom Conway, Gene Brooks, Isabel Jewell, Kim Hunter, Hugh Beaumont, who played Ward Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver. All right. Horror film noir. It's very dark and nihilistic, this movie. But I like the speech of the head shrinker turned writer. His voice is a lot like George Sanders. Anyway, written by DeWitt Dean and Charles O'Neill, produced by Val Lewton for RKO Studio Radio Pictures. Excuse me. So, if you look at the bonus features on this disc, here's the disc itself, right there. Pretty cool looking disc. They'll tell you that Citizen Kane and the Magnificent Ambersons were financial flops for RKO. RKO was about ready to go out of business, so they hired Val Lewton, who came over from Selznick, to do a bunch of horror flicks. I Walk with the Zombie. What's the other one? Cat People. I didn't like Cat People. Here's Somebody Up There Likes Me. Not much going on there. And they started making huge profits, although this movie didn't make that much money. Here's Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Weapon. All right. So my Robin Hood is up, ready to go to work. I'm not sure about my valet parking schedule. I guess I'm going there Sunday night to work a couple hours. More training, I guess. I don't know when my graveyard schedule starts. I asked for Tuesday and Wednesday, and I guess they wanted me to work Friday. Today, in which case I would have gotten less than 5 hours of sleep, and I would have had to drive a Good Eggs van. It would not be a good situation. I told my boss at the valet parking, the Luma Hotel. All right. So the film focuses on a young woman who stumbles on an underground cult of devil worshippers in Greenwich Village, New York City, including lesbian foo. They're calling it homoerotic undertones on Wikipedia. It marks Robson's directorial debut. I mentioned that. And it was Hunter's first on-screen role. She plays Mary Gibson. I like Gene Brooks' hairdo. It looks like Elvira, Mistress from the Dark hairdo. She kind of has this suicidal outlook towards life, kind of similar to how I felt when a Korean girl rejected me, my dream girl, when I was much younger. Anyway, O'Neill had written the script as a murder mystery set in California that followed a woman hunted by a serial killer. Bodine revised the script, basing the story on a satanic society meeting he attended in New York City and setting it as a prequel to Cat People, with Conway reprising his role as Dr. Louis Judd. All right. So I forgot to put Tom Conway, in this description box because I had seen Cat People. I have forgotten about it because I hated it. You got to use your imagination a lot with Val Lewton. A lot of dark shadows and creepy stuff going on in this one. But I didn't find that amusing in Cat People for some reason. I was kind of disappointed that at the ending of Cat People. It was kind of a lame ending, I think, if I can recall correctly. So filming took place over 24 days in May 1943 at RKO Studios in Los Angeles. Released on August 21st, 1943, the film failed to garner significant income at the box office, and it received mixed reviews from critics who found its narrative incoherence a primary fault. It was later revealed that Robson and editor John Lockhart had removed 4 substantial scenes from the final cut, including an extended conclusion. I thought the ending was decent. In spite of its mixed reception, the film became a cult film in England, noted by critics for its homoerotic undertones. In other words, lesbian foo. Mary Gibson, a young woman at Highcliffe Academy, an expensive boarding school, learns that her older sister and only relative, Jacqueline, has gone missing and has not paid Mary's tuition in months. Therefore, the school principal tells Mary that she'll have to leave the school, but could remain if she works as a teacher's aide. She decides to leave to find her sister, who owns La Sagesse, a cosmetics company in New York City. Upon arriving in New York, Mary finds that Jacqueline sold her cosmetics business 8 months earlier to her assistant, Esther Reddy, the Satanist. Jacqueline's close friend and La Sagesse employee, Frances Fallon, claims close friend? You mean lesbian girlfriend? Claims to have seen Jacqueline the week before at Dante, an Italian restaurant in Greenwich Village. Mary locates the restaurant and she discovers that Jacqueline has rented a room above the store without having moved in. Mary convinces the owners to let her see the room, which she finds empty aside a wooden chair and above it a noose hanging from the ceiling. This makes Mary more anxious and determined to find her sister. While at Dante, Mary meets Jason Hogue, a poet, who offers to help find her sister. Mary's investigation leads her to several individuals who know Jacqueline, including her secret husband, attorney Gregory Ward, played by Hugh Beaumont, a.k.a. Ward Cleaver, and a psychiatrist, Dr. Louis Judd, played by Tom Conway. Mary learns Jacqueline had been a patient of Judd's, seeking treatment for depression stemming from her membership in a satanic cult called the Palladists and her subsequent efforts to leave the group. Jacqueline was lured into joining the cult by her former co-workers at La Sagesse, particularly Esther Reddy, who's the leader of the satanic cult. Mary enlists a private detective, Irving August, to help locate Jacqueline. When Mary accompanies him to La Sagesse after hours, Irving is stabbed to death by an unseen assailant. Mary flees into the subway where she witnesses 2 formally dressed men entering her car carrying Irving's corpse between them. She attempts to alert the police, but the men vanish with Irving's body before they arrive. Judd approaches Mary and offers to bring her to visit Jacqueline at his residence where she's been in hiding. There, Mary is briefly met by Jacqueline, who gestures her to be quiet before vanishing again. Determined to remain in New York, Mary takes a job at a kindergarten, thanks to Hugh Beaumont referral. Sometime later, Esther breaks into Mary's apartment and she confronts her in the shower. This is a precursor to the Psycho scene. You see the shadow in the shower curtain, very creepy, claiming that Jacqueline murdered Irving, and she urges Mary to return to Highcliffe. Mary tells Gregory and Jason what Esther told her, and they resolve to locate Jacqueline and have her surrender herself to police for Irving's murder. They unite with Judd, who takes them to meet Jacqueline. Jacqueline recounts how she came to join the Palladists, as well as how she inadvertently killed Irving, believing him to be an assassin sent by the cult to kill her. The Palladists have a rule that any member who betrays the cult must die, and they believe Jacqueline betrayed them by talking about the cult to Judd, an outsider. At first I thought Judd was a member of the cult, but I guess wrong. The cult members congregate to decide Jacqueline's fate. She would be the seventh person condemned for betrayal since the founding of the cult. However, the cult doesn't believe in directly committing acts of violence, feeling it's only permissible as a last resort. So they're trying to drive Jacqueline insane so that she'll die by her own hand. Instead, they goad perceived offenders into committing suicide. Frances, because of her profound attachment to Jacqueline, her lesbian foo, begs the cult member to spare her, but to no avail. So Jacqueline's sitting there with a cup of poison, and her lesbian girlfriend goes like this, swats it away. No! The cultists kidnap Jacqueline over several hours. They try to browbeat her into killing herself, as she has long been suicidal anyway. She's not ready yet. They offer her a cup of poison. When she refuses to drink it, they let her leave, but they send an assassin to follow her. The assassin chases her through the streets with a switchblade, but she eludes him, and she returns to her rented room above Dante's. Simultaneously, Jason and Judge confront the Palladists, condemning them for their dedication to evil and reciting lines from the Lord's Prayer in response to Mr. Bruns, a high-ranking member of the cult, nihilistic philosophical explanation for their doctrine. He's asking, how can you refute our attraction toward evil? And then Judd recites lines from the Lord's Prayer, including, "Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil." In the rooming house hallway, Jacqueline briefly encounters her neighbor, Mimi, a young woman who is terminally ill. Mimi confesses to Jacqueline that she is afraid to die and plans to have one last night out of town. I don't want to spoil the ending. It's a decent ending, very swift and pretty cool. So most controversially, the film resolves with the suicide of one of the main characters. Oh, I just spoiled the ending. Contrary to the spirit, if not the letter, of the production code. Film historian Steve Haberman, in his audio commentary for the 2005 Warner Brothers DVD release of the film, characterized Jacqueline as the film's philosophical center, noting her existentialist views. Her life is a very nightmare version of life that Val Lewton portrays in many of his movies a meaningless existence, trying to find meaning, always failing, and in the end seeking a sort of peace through death. Film scholar J.P. Talot echoed this sentiment, stating, "The Seventh Victim explores certain ineffable fears that always haunt the human psyche, especially a fear of meaninglessness or the irrational, which can make death seem a welcome release from life." And then it goes into homoeroticism. Critics have noted homosexual undercurrents running through the film, particularly in Jacqueline's character and relationship with Francis, cult member who is an employee at the company she formerly owned. The film was featured in Turner Classic Movie Channel's Screened Out, which celebrated gay and lesbian themes in classic Hollywood cinema. Other film theorists, such as Harry M. Benshoff, author of Monsters in the Closet, Homosexuality and the Horror Film, have read the film's anchoring of its palliative characters in Greenwich Village, a neighborhood with a history of gay and lesbian residents, as another prominent undercurrent. I don't know why they include gay people in this. It's just lesbian foo, which is much different. In his assessment of the film, Benshoff notes the seventh victim invokes the analogy in ways more sympathetic to homosexuality, while it could have been easily fallen into the trap of using gay and lesbian signifiers to characterize as villains, i.e. homosexual equals Satanist, as did Universal's The Black Cat in 1934. The film is much more complex than that. Additionally, Benshoff notes that while contemporary reviews did not comment on the film's homosexual overtones, there's those two words again, they did note its baffling subtleties. The script for The Seventh Victim went through several incarnations in the pre-production process. One version focused on an orphan caught in a murder plot in California's Signal Hill oil wells. In this narrative, the heroine needed to solve the orphan's identity, saving him from becoming the seventh victim of the unknown killer. This version of the script was rewritten entirely by DeWitt Bodine under the supervision of producer Val Lewton. The new plot followed a woman who uncovers a cult of Satanists in Greenwich Village. Bodine purportedly based his idea for the film on a real satanic society he encountered in New York. The script incorporated other elements of his experiences in New York. Jacqueline's cosmetic business, La Sagesse, was inspired by his previous work as a journalist reporting on cosmetic companies. And the Italian restaurant Dante's was based on Barbetta, a restaurant in Manhattan's theater district. Okay. Mark Robson was a Canadian editor who worked as assistant on Citizen Kane, was signed to direct the film, his directorial debut. It was shot over 24 days at RKO's Gower Street studio in Los Angeles, California, beginning on May 5th, 1943, and concluding on May 29th. The opening scene at the boarding school used the set featured in RKO's The Magnificent Andersons, released the year before. So that's one of the themes of the bonus features, is that they recycled a bunch of sets on the RKO lot that had been used by what's his name? Can't think of the guy's name. Orson Welles. Of course, it's Orson Welles. All right. So I could continue reading down the Wikipedia page, which I've been doing for the past few months. Just so that I don't miss anything. It's a reminder of myself mainly. So please excuse me for doing that. I just wanted to cover all my bases. Now let's go down my list because I got to leave in like 6 minutes. I don't have much time here. All right. Here's the list. One Body Too Many, 1944. Blood Warriors, 1993. Screaming Tiger, 1973. The Wild World of Batwoman, 1966. Queen of the Amazons, 1947. Hell Up in Harlem, 1973. Snow Beast, 1977. Platoon Leader, 1988. Sherlock Holmes, The Case of the Reluctant Carpenter, 1955. TV episode 21. Mercenary Fighters, 1988. The Buckskin Lady, 1957. Stormcatcher, 1999. The Taking of Beverly Hills, 1991. The Manster, 1959. Bedside Manor, 1945. Dark Mountain, 1944. The Crater Lake Monster, 1977. The Giant Spider Woman. No, The Giant Spider Invasion. Looking at a picture of Gene Brooks. All right. Stick, 1985. The Forest, 1982. Phantom from Space, 1953. The Dungeon of Harrow, 1962. The Amazing Mr. X, 1948. Damnation Alley, 1977. Shadow Warriors 2, 1999. Law of the Jungle, 1942. Blake of Scotland Yard, 1937. Kansas City Confidential, 1952. The White Cannibal Queen, 1980. Windjammer, 1937. Swamp Fire, 1946. Police Story 4. Blood Ring, 1991. Hostile Country, 1950. Rotor, The Wrong Road, 1937. You Bet Your Life. Identity Unknown, 1945. Chain for Life, 1952. Untamed Women, 1952. The Case of the Christmas Pudding, 1955. Sherlock Holmes TV episode 23. Texas, Brooklyn, and Heaven, 1948. Beast of the Haunted Cave, 1959. Moon of the Wolf, 1972. Hurricane Smith, 1992. Sherlock Holmes, The Case of the Suffragette, TV episode 20, 1955. Showdown, 1993. Best of the Best 2. TNT, 1997. My Dear Secretary, 1948. The Mystery Man, 1935. Bride of the Gorilla, 1951. Letter of Introduction, 1938. Dick Tracy versus the Mole, season 1, episodes 9 through 12. Devil's Island, 1939. Angel Town, 1990. Mercenary, 1996. Night Fright, 1967. DEFCON 4, 1985. And Santa Fe Trail, 1940. So that's my list. This movie, The Seventh Victim, highly recommended. Check it out. That's the end of my review. Laters.